Dan Abbott. I'm making this video for my classes at Southern Maine Community College. This is a SolidWorks drawing, and we're looking at a problem that has cropped up periodically and that I have figured out what the problem is finally. So at some point when you're doing a drawing, you'll find a situation where you have to put a sketched line in on your own. So there's actually a change in the plane from here to here, and there are tangent edges here, but because the convention for drawings is to put a single line in to represent the intersection of those two planes, we have to go back in and add a couple of lines, which is what this student did. So he put those in, and he did this by going to the layer tool, and in the layer tool he created an object layer, and on the object layer he gave it a thickness, and he gave it the thickness that line weights should be, and SolidWorks by default does not produce visible lines or object lines that are thick enough. And what he did was chose 0.0138, which is about twice as thick as all the thin lines. What I assumed initially when I was evaluating this is that he had not changed the default line weight for line fonts down here. So first I went to properties, the document properties, down to line font, visible edges, and I discovered that he had changed the visible edges here, which means they should match what it looks like on the drawing with the lines that he placed from a layer that had the same line weight set. So it shows you what it looks like, shows you solid, everything should just be fine. So the problem is this. For one of the assignments that we did, there was a plate that had to be shown in an assembly drawing with phantom lines. And so I had shown students that they could right-click, go to a component line font, and change the visible lines for parts that have to be phantom lines from the defaults to thin phantom lines. The problem is I think what he did was decided that that's what you had to do for all parts. So if you take a look, this part has a checkbox here that is normally checked, and he had cleared that. If I check that box, what it now does is says use default document defaults. But you see before that the line weight was set to what SolidWorks normally sets visible lines to, which is much too thin. Do that, come back out. Now we have line weights that show up correctly on this drawing. And otherwise, he did a very nice job on this. And obviously I can't fault him for that one because it was just one of those sort of puzzling things. Sometimes with SolidWorks you get a situation, for instance, where the hatch patterns just don't update if you make a change. So for instance, sometimes if you go in and decide you want that to be changed to something else, you make the change, nothing happens. That's a different problem in SolidWorks. That problem is, and you might think if I do that it'll fix it. It didn't fix it. I just changed that to 90 degrees. When I say sometimes that happens, it's happening more often with the current release. The solution to that, I have found, is to delete the view that has that, and then Control Z to bring it back, and you notice when it comes back, that change is now applied. So this is the problem with SolidWorks, is that there are some things that are just flat out glitches, and frequently deleting a view and then bringing it back with Control Z will fix that glitch. This line font weight looked like a glitch initially, and clearly he had tried to solve it by setting the line weight correctly, but that one turns out not to be a glitch. That one turns out to be a setting that can be changed. So ever true with CAD programs, and I've been dealing with CAD programs since 1986. There are just times when they do things that are just baffling. Sometimes they're baffling because you did something inadvertently, and sometimes they're baffling because there's a glitch in the software, and sometimes it's hard to tell the difference.